There's a lot out there in the news about the GLP-1 drugs, and it's really in the news. Everybody who wants to lose weight has heard about it. So today I want to talk a little bit about the cons, the pros, the cons, the discussion out there about GLP-1s, about what's going on, what's in the news, and I'm going to offer you another option that my clients have really loved and that makes sense to them. So I wanted to share it with everybody in our group. So, again, if you've been interested and thinking about weight loss, you have heard about GLP-1 drugs. GLP-1 drugs are used by a lot of people who've been frustrated by the yo-yo diet cycle, by diet programs that don't work, and by feeling stuck. And so they feel, and they've been encouraged that these medications can make a difference. And for some people, they do. But for a lot of people, there are side effects that get in the way, first of all. Um, and some people get results that are not ultimately what they're looking for. Um, a lot of people lose the pounds not by losing fat entirely, but by losing muscle, by losing lean tissue, part of the body that we really want to maintain. When we want to lose weight, we want to lose it in fat. We want to lose the fat on our belly, our thighs, our butt. Um, we don't want to lose it in places like our face, our cheeks. What happens in some of the weight loss drugs, there's a term Ozempic face, and people tend to lose fat in the face area, and that makes the skin hang a little bit. Sometimes in the forehead area, you get wrinkles because the fat disappears. So you don't lose weight in the same way with the GLP-1 drugs as you do with the natural hormones. And that's the first thing that's different about GLP-1 meds, that you don't lose weight in the same way. So they have a similar term to the natural hormones, but they don't work in exactly the same way. What they do try to do is mimic the sensation of fullness like the GLP-1 hormones do. And that's admirable because we want to get that sensation of fullness. But why do we need to do that? And I think for a large reason, that we have been taken out of our hormone sensitivity by diet culture. We've been taught to stop eating when we measure calories, when we measure points, when we measure macros, when we measure limiting our diets and restricting our diets to certain narrow categories of food, when we weigh our food, instead of listening to our body's natural cues and determining when we're hungry, feeling when we're hungry. And so for years and years, many people who've been trying to lose weight have been taught by diet culture to ignore and forget being sensitive to hunger cues. And they've ignored it and feel like they can't feel it anymore. And so it makes sense in a way to try to restore those cues by using GLP-1 drugs so that you can feel full. There are a lot of side effects of the GLP-1 drugs, and I want to mention them a little bit, just so we're all aware and we're on the same page. So for a lot of people, and not everybody gets side effects, not everybody gets the side effects right away. Some people get it after a while. And by the way, the research does show that when people go off of the GLP-1 drugs, if they do need to or if they choose to for whatever reason, whether they have side effects, whether they're tired of jabbing themselves, whether their insurance has stopped paying for it, or they're tired of paying for it, or whatever reason, that when people stop taking the GLP-1 drugs, most people regain most of the weight. Just like when you stop diet programs for whatever reason, when people stop diet programs, they often regain most of the weight, sometimes all of the weight, sometimes even more weight, because your body is on a campaign to gain back the weight that your body is used to having. So again, we want to be sensitive and aware that not everybody can stay on GLP-1 drugs, and unless you really have a lifetime goal and plan to stay on the drugs, if you plan to get off of the drugs at some point in time, you may experience this problem of regaining weight. And again, there are numerous side effects. So the side effects include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, dizziness, and there are a few even more serious side effects for some people, like pancreatitis and gallbladder problems. And there is the term that was created called Ozempic face, because you often lose fat, again, in regions you don't want to lose the fat, like in the cheeks, so the skin hangs, or in the forehead, so you get wrinkles in the skin or the chin. Again, a result of the fact that we lose weight differently with the GLP-1 drugs than we do with natural hormones in the body. Natural hormones in the body, the natural GLP-1 hormones, go after the fat in our belly, our thighs, our butt, the areas where we want to lose weight. And the drugs, while they try to simulate the hunger and fullness cues in our body, they really aren't exact at resulting where we lose the fat. And again, that term Ozempic face, because we don't lose fat in the same way. So here's my thought for you. And I told you I'm going to come up with a better suggestion than taking GLP-1 drugs, in my opinion. What if instead of simulating the GLP-1 hormones, we actually use our body to try to get back in touch with our natural GLP-1 hormones? That's natural. If we can get back in touch and use our natural hormones, there's no side effects to them. There's no risks, no foreign substances to cause side effects. Just your body working the way it's supposed to, the way you were born. Now, you might say, yes, let's do this. So what I do want to make clear is this is not a 5-minute magic cure, just like the GLP-1 drugs are not a magic cure. There are processes, and the best way to do it is not a one-size-fits-all, because not everybody is out of touch with their natural hormones for the same reason. Not everybody reestablishes their cues the same way. So when I do work with my clients, I do give them specific programs to get back in touch. I am going to give you some general ideas that I think can be very helpful. Of course, if you do want more personalized input, I will make that available to you, and I will mention that at the end of our program today. I notice my necklace is hanging down, and I want you to get to see it, because I know everybody knows I pick my necklaces very carefully for these sessions. If you've been joining me regularly, you know that I am obsessed with necklaces, and I just thought this would be a fun one to wear today, and that it fits into the theme of my outfit. So I had to fix that for you and show you. If you like my necklace, please put in the comments something that I like your necklace, Dr. Ellen, or pretty necklace, or good choice. It really helps me to know that people pay attention to my necklaces, because I try to include them for some fun. Um, but of course, I do want to give you the important information. So, the first way of stimulating your GLP-1 hormones is to use foods. Remember, food is medicine. People say that, and I always say that. To use foods that will help stimulate the release of your natural GLP-1 hormones. So there are certain classifications of food that will help release GLP-1 in your gut when you're during the digesting process, and it will send that message to your brain to know I'm feeling full. And so the foods that help that are foods that are high in, and I'm going to give you examples of these, foods that are high in fiber, proteins, and healthy fats. I want you to think of those classifications. Foods that are high in fiber, proteins, and healthy fats. So some examples of those types of foods that are high in fiber, leafy greens like broccoli, asparagus, celery, string beans, legumes and beans as well, and proteins. So fish with healthy fats, like salmon and mackerel, and chicken, and other proteins. And healthy fats. Avocado is really healthy and has healthy fats. Nuts and seeds. And again, I mentioned legumes, beans, and lentils. Healthy fats, olive oil also, and fermented foods like sauerkraut and yogurt, and other healthy foods like citrus fruits. These are all foods that stimulate the release of healthy GLP-1 hormones, natural hormones in our body. There are a whole lot of ways of getting back in tune with your natural hormones and your natural cues. And those types of sensations are really more not one size fits all, but more a singular approach. What I would say to get started is to think about mindfulness and living in the moment and paying attention to your body feelings when you eat. And to eat a little bit more slowly, because it takes a little time once those GLP-1 hormones are released for the brain to pick up the message, I'm full. So again, eat a little slowly. That's a little bit of a helpful cue. And think about your stomach and what does it feel like to feel full? Can you remember, even if you don't think you're in touch with your fullness cues now, what did it feel like to feel full? You feel that feeling in your stomach of material in there. Sometimes you feel digestion in your stomach. You feel almost like a mechanical process, a digestive process going on. And what does it feel like to be hungry? Again, we've lost our sensation of listening to our own body cues. So what does hunger feel like? Sometimes you feel a growl in your stomach, or a sensation in your stomach, almost like butterflies in your stomach. Not a nervous type of butterflies, but just kind of a movement. So it's helpful to think about that. Again, when I work with my clients on this area, on getting back in touch with the sensation of fullness and hunger, we can talk more a little bit about personalized plans and personalized sensations. It is not a one-on-one program for everybody. I've been giving you some suggestions, some general suggestions, because I do want you to feel that you can get started. If you do want some support on this, I do have a program that I'm making available at a very reasonable fee for people in my group, because I want people to get started on this, and I think it is so important. So if you would like to have a meeting with me to discuss more one-on-one your cues, to get a written document on your natural GLP-1s and the difference between those and the drugs. You'll get a document. You'll get a document also, a personalized plan, and a session with me. And for a limited time, a limited number of clients, I'm going to make this available for $79. Um, that is like a number of Starbucks drinks or coffee house drinks to get you started on this. And again, I want you to have really a committed feeling, which is why I want you to put some money into this so that you will feel to have some commitment, but it's such a low amount. And you will get this written report customized for you and with information about the difference between GLP-1 drugs and your natural hormones. What I really want is for you to get results and to get moving, to get out of feeling stuck, and to really get around those traps of the risks of GLP-1 drugs. Again, they are coming from such a good place to try to help people, but so many people experience those side effects. And again, the difference is that GLP-1 drugs were created to try to mimic the sensation of fullness in our bodies, but again, that they don't work in exactly the same way. When our bodies lose fat because our metabolism is working well and our fat burning system is working naturally, we lose the fat where we want it, from our stomach, our thighs, our butt. But often these GLP-1 drugs stimulate fat loss in areas that don't happen with natural fat weight loss. And so with these drugs, often there's weight loss that occurs in lean tissue instead of fat tissue, and that occurs in muscles. So some people are actually taken off of GLP-1 drugs if they're losing too much muscle tissue. And again, sometimes the fat tissue that's lost is lost in areas where we don't want to lose it, like the face, the cheeks. So you get that sagging skin, or those wrinkles appearing because the fat disappears in our face, which brought about the term Ozempic face. I want people to stay healthy, to lose weight in a healthy way, and to lose it in a sustainable way so that it's going to be permanent weight loss. And to me, weight loss drugs mean that if you end up discontinuing them for any reason, whether it's because you have side effects or it's the cost of drugs, or whether insurance continues to cover it or not, or you get tired of jabbing yourself, for whatever reason, I love for people to have natural weight loss results. So you don't have to worry about that commitment to using foreign substances, drugs. So I'd love to help you get moving, to get back in touch with your natural GLP-1 hormones, your natural feelings of fullness and hunger, so that you have a system that you can move towards permanent weight loss without living with those risks of what happens if I get the side effects. What happens if my insurance company stops covering the drugs? What if I don't have enough money to cover the drugs in the future? Or whatever your concerns may be. Everyone who knows me knows that I want to help people build a path to permanent weight loss. And I think this strategy is a great strategy to help you build permanent weight loss in your body that makes you healthier rather than exposing you to risks. So I'd be happy to speak to you if this resonates with you. I'm going to have limited appointments available. I will list my calendar, and I will have limited number of spots of people I can work with. because I do work with a lot of people. I have limited spots. So if you are interested, make sure you schedule as soon as possible. And I can't wait to help you to get you on track to permanent weight loss. If you are interested in permanent weight loss, there are a few things you can do. One, as I mentioned, we can have this discussion on the topic we talked about today. As always, if you are in Facebook, join in our regular time every Sunday at 7:30 Eastern Time in our group. If you are watching this in YouTube, make sure that you do subscribe and hit like. If you subscribe, you will be aware when I come out with new teachings like this regularly. So you will be aware and be able to implement the topics and suggestions and solutions that I provide. So let's get this going for you. Permanent, safe, healthy, sustainable, long term, permanent weight loss.